All right, guys, how's everybody doing? We're gonna wait for a minute, get Caroline in here, Wichita Audits, get them back up on screen so we can get the scoop on this Manuel Mata arrest. I've also got room for a couple other people if anybody else wants to jump up on there. John Eagle, good to see you. Muted Voodoo and Cap. CFW still alive. She'll come over here in a minute. Cookie, good to see you. Marcus, Manny Pants. Of course. Yeah, shocking. Mata arrested again. They got it out for Mata. And he doesn't take much lip, so he ain't gonna have none of that. Sure, come on up, Constitution State. Good to see you, by the way. John D, what's up? Bad Badger. Troll account, that's hilarious. I've included the StreamYard. I said StreamYard link in the chat. So, yeah, they have had it out for him for years. Wichita Audits. Come on up, bud. All right. Got Wichita in the house. Hopefully CFW stops messing around and gets their butt in here.
Mm-hmm.
So we can see what's going on. How you doing, Wichita?
Oh, I'm doing very good. Thank you for having me on your live stream.
Absolutely. We have some other folks gonna jump up with us.
What's up, Rogue?
You there, Constitution?
Yes, Bud. How are you?
Awesome.
Yeah, can you hear me?
There's a little bit of a delay on his side, I think.
Your Constitution?
Yeah, I think StreamYard's just having a terrible laggy day, honestly.
Can everybody hear me now? Wichita, can you hear me?
Sorry.
Wichita, can you hear me? Okay, Legal Eyes, you can hear me? Everybody can hear me in chat? Yeah, for some reason, I don't think he can.
Harry Styles. If I hear one more Harry Styles compliment, you're gone.
All right, Constitution State, can you hear me?
I can
Check
hear
your
you.
audio. Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So we know we're coming in loud and clear. Caroline is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. So Caroline is, her devices are not connected.
She might have to restart her router.
Yeah, no telling. So, I got the StreamYard running on my laptop, but I'm on my phone because it gets a better connection. So that way you can hear me and we can run it like that. So there won't be no lag. But okay, so here comes Caroline. Let's see. Okay, it looks like she's in. Let's add her.
Yay! Yay!
Yeah.
Yay! Now I'm gonna try to find the video.
All right. All right.
Okay.
We're in business, folks. We're in business.
Okay. Let's get the link. Okay, hang on.
There we go.
Hey, eyes on the state. Okay, well, we're waiting for Miss Caroline to bring up the video so there's no awkward silences. I'll talk a little bit about Wichita Audits. Just saw some of his videos. If it's possible, sir, go ahead and share one or two of your videos to let other people see what you got going on. Carolina dropped out again. Not sure what's going on there. I think she's having issues with her internet, but yeah. So, did you say, Wichita, that your dad was an auditor or somebody in your family was an
He
auditor?
was a police officer. He's an ex police officer.
Your father?
Yes.
Okay. So you're familiar then with all the legal ramifications that could entail with any auditing activity. And the reason I mention this is because my wife mentioned it to me that, at your age, you might not be thinking that into the future. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. In Georgia, I was recording outside of a prison in the parking lot, publicly accessible, should have been no issue. However, they found 100-year-old statute that they never prosecuted anybody before under. It was a felony, and they convicted me of it.
Wow.
And yeah, that kind of stuff, obviously a felony, 16 or 17 years old. Well, you're a juvenile, so you actually wouldn't have to worry about it till you're 18. But when you're 18, if you get a felony, that will follow you. When you're a juvenile, you can get a felony that won't follow you. But
You gotta get
unless you
sued.
get adjudicated as an adult, which would be something for like murder. If you're like 16 and kill somebody, they will adjudicate you as an adult. But
Yeah.
but something like auditing, I don't think you'll have to worry about till you're 18. But when you do turn 18, I think it's important to realize that any kind of retaliation that you face could follow you. So that's an important thing to remember at a young age. But other than that, I am excited by the prospect of somebody young that actually cares about their rights instead of what's on Snapchat.
Right.
So I want to say I appreciate the fact that you're actively learning about what makes the country great or what's supposed to make the country great.
Just be careful.
That was Mrs. Rig Nation.
And I appreciate that you're worrying about me on the fact that I could get arrested for a whole week, or not even a week, or for a whole 2 days. Any kind of time would suck to be arrested for, especially at my age. But I am aware of the risks. I saw this video of this kid that was my age. He was 16, and he was killed for auditing. Be quiet. He was killed. He was shot. I don't know the whole story behind it, but there's some theories going on that he was killed by his city. And that scared me a little bit when I first started auditing. I don't know the name anymore, but I got a comment on one of my first 3 videos saying that I need to watch out because there was this kid that was exactly like me, but he died. And I watched one of his videos. His channel's still up to this day, but out of nowhere,
Was that the one in the car?
some of his videos got privated, even though he was dead. His videos got privated somehow. And the weird thing is the police department is the one with his phone still.
Yeah, I would have to definitely look into that. I've never heard anything like that. I would think that the trolls would be all over information like that because
Oh
that
yeah.
would reinforce their, hypothesis that, we're idiots or whatever. And look, you can really be harmed and, such as like that. Like a
You know, you can be
Floyd
harmed by
Floyd
anything. You can be
role.
harmed by like sitting out in the sun too long,
Yeah,
Bro,
Carolina keeps popping in and out. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
wasn't there somebody that was shot? Wasn't there a kid in a car not like a year or 2 ago that was shot for driving his car and they smoked him and wasn't that kid an auditor? Is that maybe what he's talking about?
I think so.
No,
I could be
you're
getting the story
talking.
mixed up.
Yeah, no, you're talking about Chase Allen.
Yes,
That kid in
that's
Utah.
it.
But he wasn't an auditor. He might have recorded some police interactions, but he wasn't like an auditor in the
Mhm.
sense that we call people an auditor.
Okay. Yep.
And Caroline keeps popping in and out. So I'll tell you folks what little I do know about the Manuel Mata arrest from what Caroline told me, and that is that there was an officer. He was blocking the crosswalk to cross the street. So Manuel had walked around the front of the cruiser to cross the street, and when he crossed over in front of the cop car, the officer popped out, said he was jaywalking, demanded ID. So he was arrested from what she says, for jaywalking, failure to ID, or something along those natures. I mean, obviously, stupid charges that, if we were in a just system, would obviously either be dismissed or handily beaten at a trial. But
Mhm.
we know that that's not always the case. Um, so, we'll have to see where it goes from there. But yeah, they have, consistently retaliated against Mata for his, his journalism activities, keeping the cops accountable. And I tell people when they think about doing this kind of stuff, this is what you can expect. This is exactly what you can expect. And more and more people are feeling it. Like the John Jesse I talked with the other day. There's another video I got coming out where I talked to another gentleman who had a semi-viral video out on the internet where the police attacked him. Once you start questioning these guys and poking into what they're doing, there's going to be obvious retaliation, and the amount of retaliation just is going to depend on what you kick over.
Mhm.
If you kick over some cops that are running massive amounts of drugs for a cartel, I mean, you could end up buried in the desert somewhere. you know so don't ever underestimate the lengths that these guys will go to keep whatever it is they have hidden. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with accepting the retaliation. So, and it's hard. It's hard on you. It's hard on your family. So,
And it doesn't just
Oh,
end with the police. The court, it's all throughout the court, it seems like.
oh, it's with throughout the court, and you'll get it through code enforcement, and I mean, I've heard of it all. My buddy down in Davie, Florida, he was going to run for mayor because they were so corrupt down there. So what they did was is they sent code enforcement around to his neighbors and started hitting them with fines and told them that as long as this guy, your neighbor, is running for office, we're going to come by and hit you with these fines. So, I mean, there's no amount of pressure that they won't apply to keep power, you know?
Mhm.
So,
That's a fact.
yeah, that's why people call me, hey, Rogue, can you come up here and, come up here and look around my town? Because people realize that if I start poking around in my town and it's not anonymously through like anonymous email record requests and stuff like that, which I advise everybody who doesn't want to be retaliated to do, then they call me or they call, other people like Constitution State, Wichita. I don't know if you've been around long enough for people to reach out and ask you to come investigate in their area. But I mean, once you start getting up there in subscriber numbers, you're going to better believe that people are going to be calling and emailing you, asking you, hey, can you come up here and investigate?
Mhm.
Because
No, yeah.
they realize the retaliation is real.
I got a comment just a couple days ago. It's one of my post office videos. They said that they were banned, not trespassed from the post office, but banned from the post office. It was the one on Fifth Street where I live. I went up there, and not even 5 minutes in, everybody in there, every worker, every customer was just up against me, and it was just insane. And one of the ladies had her supervisor, one of the workers who worked at the front had a supervisor even come up to her and say, "Hey, he has the right to do this. Don't do anything about it." Even the boss told the supervisor to tell her that, and she still went to the phone and called the cops. And even when the supervisor was talking to her, saying, "Hang up the phone," she was saying, "Well, he's making me uncomfortable. I'm getting the squad over here." Her supervisor was telling her straight up, "Don't call the cops. He has the right to do this." And she just ignored and just did what she felt like she needed to do. That sounds like somebody who would get banned from that post office. It sounds like somebody was banned, you know?
Yeah.
What's up, Rogue?
What's up, Wolvie?
Just out of curiosity, we're talking about the Manuel Mata from Carolina, Manuel Mata, right? Out there in Fort Worth.
Yeah, Manuel Mata, yeah, out Fort Worth.
Right. So, whatever I didn't even know what happened with those other charges. Did he get them squashed? Those other charges squashed it, or is he still fighting them too?
I mean, he's been fighting for a while. I don't know if he's gotten, the charges dismissed. He was facing a lot of charges.
I know. That's why I was like, wow, how could you,
Here
for the
we
amount
go.
of charges that he had on him, man, that's enough to keep a guy busy for a while.
To my knowledge, he was still fighting them.
Yeah.
All right,
So
hang on.
you're saying he was arrested for telling a cop to get out of a crosswalk?
No, he didn't tell the cop to get out of a crosswalk. From what I understand, and Caroline's on now, she can clarify, but
Yes.
he was trying to cross the street. The cop had parked in the crosswalk. So Manuel had walked around the front of the cop car in order to cross the street because the cop car was blocking the crosswalk. And that's when the cop hopped out and said, "Hey, you're jaywalking," which, I mean, obviously, again, if it's a just system, they're going to look at that and be like, yeah, no, right? Or, jury's going to be like, no fucking way, right? But
Well,
we're not in
I
a just
texted you the
system.
link, by the way.
Was he recording that?
What's that?
Okay, oh, no, what
Was-
happened is that he was recording it, but we got the video from somebody who was on Facebook.
Okay.
And so I just texted you the link, Rogue,
Well,
to
somebody's
the
going to have to
video.
share it. Yeah, somebody's going to have to share it. All of you, I believe, can share your screen.
So, I mean, okay, see if I can do that. Share screen.
I don't know if you see my little message back there, Rogue, but I hid my channel to get rid of some YouTuber that knows how to get rid of these bots that sometimes shadow ban us and stop us from getting our content out that stops us from stops the bots from attacking your shit. You hide your channel for just under 3 days and come back. It worked, but it's back again. But unfortunately, everywhere where I had a wrench, it de-wrenches me. So I couldn't share any information in here if I wanted to, because my wrench was automatically taken from everywhere in YouTube because I hid my channel. You're gonna have to restore that in here if you see my name in there.
Bitch. Come on, you stupid things.
I think it already is. I think that already was, but maybe not. Maybe because, like you said, that happened, that it's not on there anymore.
Right. If you look, I got a different. I changed my logo, so you might not recognize it, but you just look under Wolverine Transparency. You'll see it. Simple enough. But anyway, go ahead.
It's saying that I cannot share. I have to go to my laptop. So that's why I said I texted you the link to the video. Rogan.
I had mine. Let me see.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
Okay, so someone was asking questions about did he get everything cleared up?
Is it
Yeah,
through?
we had everything cleared except for the appeals. Everything was cleared except for the appeals on Manuel Mata. And then this is a brand new arrest. Yes. Everything was set. Everything, he did all his, everything. So he was found guilty on a couple things, which we weren't guilty, but. And the whole thing is the reason why he was found guilty, it's not really the lawyer's fault. That was CJ Grisham. He did a great job. It's the instructions they give to the jury. That's where you get screwed. The instructions they give to the jury. For example, like when I got arrested for saying the F word during a speech at the county councilors meeting, whatever, I got arrested for hindering of a public meeting, right? And we had a county commissioner come up and say to the jury on the witness stand, she did not hinder the meeting. We reflect that in our minutes. It was not reflected in our minutes. She did not hinder, but I got found guilty. And it was because of the way that the instructions are written to the jury. So for instance, Justin Pulliam, he's got case law for him now. He got arrested for interference. In Texas, we have a part of the statute says that you can use free speech is a defense to interference. Well, the jury did not get that on their instructions. And they found him guilty. They left that off the instructions on purpose. They can do that. They can do that. And you can object all you want to, but it depends on who the judge wants to believe. So how can you leave the law as it's written on the books away from the jury? That makes no sense.
Yeah, these judges, man.
Yeah.
They're,
it's definitely the judges, because everybody thinks, well, you got a jury trial.
I would like to see personally something that not besides their oath, like a description of their actual job description in what do they call that? You got an oath of office and you got a bargaining agreement. I'd like to see their bargaining agreement in there because it gives the job description in there, and they said that's where the public trust is signed and the oath is given. I would like to see the job description where it says specifically they are there to protect our rights. Anywhere in that, and then that opens them up to liability if we can find that. That's how you can get their liability on that, is through their bargaining agreement. I don't know how to get it though. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know.
Aren't the bargaining agreement? Don't they hide the bargaining agreements?
Well, it's a public document. It should be a matter of public information.
Be, yeah. No, I agree with you on that. But like here in Connecticut, they will not give it to you. Even under FOIA, they will not. That's it. That's one of the exemptions.
Goes that obstruction, there goes that hindering, and there goes them committing war. Aaron V. Cooper, they're committing war against their constitutional oath, but failing to uphold it. That's exactly what Aaron V. Cooper says. It says they're guilty. failing to uphold the Constitution and people's constitutional rights. And it's an unlived, 5-year sentence for treason, it says. So, I don't know. We could sit here and talk until we're blue in the face, and
Why
if
would
they're
they
not
need to
gonna-
hide something like that?
huh?
I said, why would they need to hide something like that? They're hiding it for a reason.
Well, obviously, we know what's they're getting accomplished out of it, don't we?
Oh yeah,
Accountability. We can't hold them accountable.
I agree.
So
You
far,
know?
yeah, so like Manuel Mata, he was out on appeal bond, right? And see, the thing is, it's like when here in Fort Worth, when we both got arrested, they didn't, the jury gave us jail time. Well, we were doing our jail time and they pull us out and they force us into probation with rules, right? So Manuel Mata was out on appeal bond. So what he did, because he only got, I think he got 90 days in jail, but it's 3 for 1 here. So he only had to serve like really 10 days to get off paper and not have to worry about his probation rules, right? So he smoked pot every single day. Every single day he went to give his urine test. He was dirty on purpose because he wanted to violate and finish his time in jail so he wouldn't be on paper anymore, right? So they knew he was dirty and they were not arresting him for being dirty. But what happened was he made somebody mad at the commissioner's court, and it's on the computer. Yes, he tested dirty. So somebody not from the probation office arrested him. And they were so mad at the probation office because Manuel Mata got to sit in jail for 4 days, I guess, and he didn't have to do his probation anymore, his probation rules. You know, that they wanted to keep him on paper as far as the rules, because they take away your First Amendment rights when you're on paper. A lot of rights, basically all your rights. But so everything was clear. He wasn't, and then he gets arrested yesterday. So, you know. And it's so funny because you would think that everybody in Fort Worth would know who Manuel Mata is in that neighborhood where he lives. How could this guy not know who he was? Because he jumped out of the car and asked for his ID before he even told him he was under investigation for jaywalking. Hope we can get the video.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull that up right now, Caroline. I'm sorry.
Good.
Yeah, it's gonna
So,
take
and
just a minute.
what Manuel does is he does a lot of other stuff besides just filming. He goes to this neighborhood and he grassroots talks to people, right? And when you talk to people about this community, you can tell who's interested and who isn't, because they'll try to change the subject. If they're not interested, their eyes will get glassy, and you can tell they're not listening to you, and they think you're weird when you're talking about it, right? And so, but Manuel Mata got a bunch of his people to start picking up cameras, and in that area where he's at, people are picking up cameras. And that's how this video got out. This is from a bystander.
Yeah,
This video that's going to come up. And it's
hopefully I'll pull it up here in just a second. It looks, my computer's acting slow. Like you said, I got to do it on my laptop. So,
but and what you were saying, I could hear you talking about Wichita audits. It's amazing that he's so mature. Like my live stream was going down and he was taking over. He was like carrying it. So he's quick on his feet. Especially when he's dealing with the cops, he's going to have that.
yeah, absolutely.
But the biggest problem with Wichita audits is this problem. I'm from Wichita Falls. That's why I took interest in him. And in Wichita Falls, it's just Wichita Falls. You don't have a metroplex. You don't have other cities around you. Like, you know, so everybody knows who he is. And nobody likes him because the people there have been ingrained blue. That's why I don't audit there. That's why I don't audit in Wichita Falls where I'm from, because they recruit police officers from other areas of the country so that they won't they'll be like not connected to the community, so they can handle the community members better without knowing them. It's easier to arrest somebody you don't know that you didn't go to school with. So they recruit all these people from out of town to work there, right? And the bootlickers are unbelievable. They just have fallen for the propaganda. They have fallen for it hook, line, and sinker, because the people that are really violated are not people with cameras. It's the people from the east side of Wichita Falls, which is the black side of town. Okay. They only police over in the black side of town. And those people don't talk about it. They just don't. They don't bring it out.
No, yeah, everyone in Wichita Falls has the mentality, back the blue till it happens to you. You know,
It's
not
bad
one
there.
person in Wichita Falls. When I made that post about saying, you know, I was arrested at the post office, 70% of the people were saying they're glad I was arrested and the officer did a good job. Even though I explained that completely, like I explained what rights he violated, how he violated them. And no matter what I said, they were just bootlicking. Like no matter what.
Yeah, and on the, now here I'm talking too much, but on the juries we have bootlickers because bootlickers want to help the community. They want to help. They want to do their civic duty, and they want to help put criminals away in jail. So when they're back there deciding your fate, they think, well, they didn't really give me a reasonable. You know, I have some reasonable doubts, but this nice district attorney, he would never put somebody in jail if he wasn't really guilty, would he? Why would they have a trial if he wasn't really guilty?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. So even when you ask for a jury, it's still the rules, the rules on that jury sheet. We objected on everything, every point on both my trials, and I was found guilty. How do I get found guilty of interference when this dude walks up to me, you know, tells me to go across the street? I say, okay, but tell me why. And bam, I'm knocked unconscious for 2 hours. What? 12 seconds. My jury was not allowed to see the video. They were not allowed to see, that we weren't allowed to put the guy on the stand, the officer.
Because they knew it would sway their opinion.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's why. But we fought that and we still lost. I should be able to face my accuser. That's one of our appeal points. And we weren't allowed to put that dude on the stand. How crazy is that? And that's what we're facing here in Fort Worth. So Manuel Mata getting arrested, and resisting arrest? Give me a break. Manuel Mata does not resist arrest. Ever.
Oh, they charged him with resisting too?
Yes. So he got jaywalking, resisting arrest, and failure to ID. But I mean, all the other officers that pulled up knew who he was. But why do you have to ID if you didn't commit a crime? The officer was parked in a crosswalk when the light turned green. So Manuel Mata walked around the front of the car. But we know he didn't keep his mouth shut when he walked around in front of the car. But we don't have that video yet. But you're allowed to express your grievances to police. So the cop jumped out of the car and said, "Let me see your ID." That's where the video is going to pick up.
Yeah, not even jaywalking has some discrepancies. There are gray areas that a cop can be like, okay, I understand the circumstance, I'll let you go. Like, I correct me if I'm wrong, but there are some circumstances where you can cross a road if there's no crosswalk in the way, where that's your only resort.
Yeah. And if there's no lights, a lot of rules for that. But everybody knows that's just a retaliation rap. Yep. That's retaliation, and they do it to the homeless people. As far as trespassing goes, we all know that you have to be asked to leave, but that's not how they arrest the homeless people. Manuel Mata, when we get arrested in Fort Worth, you go to the city jail first, and then you go to the county jail, which is across the street. You have to go through a little tunnel like Jack Ruby and Harvey Oswald. You go through a tunnel to get over to the county, but the jail was overcrowded, so he had to sit in the city jail all this time. He just got transferred over to the county jail because they arrest for so many low-level crimes. It fills the jail up. And with 75 people dead in that jail, the largest amount of people dying ever anywhere in Texas in jail, in custody deaths, it's dangerous over there. So now these street-level cops are instructed, don't arrest for low level, just de-escalate it and go on. Why are you arresting people for jaywalking when it's overcrowded like that? Come on.
Because of who he was.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm sure the other officers told that officer who he was when they arrived on the scene. But they just do it to be mean. I mean, sometimes they forget you're holding that camera. But
at this point,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You show the video to the jury, and they still find you guilty. Or the pieces you can't show the jury, because he must have done something. Maybe he didn't do anything here, but he must have done something. We got to help. You got all that propaganda out there, the movies with the cops, beating the bad guys, not necessarily the right way, but they you're cheering for the cop all the time. all those stupid shows like Cops and those, you see them violating people's rights all the time on those shows. They know
You
the name of the
do.
guy they're going after on those shows. They already
Then
know
they
who the guy
praise
is.
them.
Yes, yes.
Look at
That's the
these
bad
heroes.
part.
You know
Yeah.
what? For the life of me, I can't get this thing to share. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna post the link in
That's a
the
good
chat,
idea.
and
That's a
that
good
way,
idea.
yeah, people could take a minute. It's only like I don't know, like a minute and a half video.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, it's not long at all. So everybody can just click on the link and take a gander at it. Like I said, it's only a minute and a half, and then come back here and we could discuss it after we see exactly what it is that we're talking about.
Now,
So
Rogue, you've been
I
screwed
might.
over a lot by, well, that last one. The rest were, we had the video, everything. And how did you get found guilty? How?
and that isn't the link there. I don't know where the link went. Caroline, you have the link. Will you post the link in the chat?
It won't let me do it.
You
You
can't
know what I'm
post
gonna
it.
do? I'm gonna put it public, and then you guys can just go to my channel and do it. See it. I won't put I'll just leave it at the minute 47 seconds, and everybody can go check it out.
I mean, I could pull my picture up and I could show it on my computer from my phone. I can't play it from my phone though.
Hmm.
No, we'll get it here in just a second. I think I've got it on my phone. Caroline sent it to me. Maybe I could paste it. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, it should be coming in the chat now. That should be the link right there. I just posted it. So yeah, we'll continue talking. I'm sure Caroline, of course, has already seen the video, and Wichita. I don't know if you've seen the video, but you can go check that out too if you guys like. Like I said, it's only a minute or so. And then you can come back and we could discuss it more. But I mean, like everybody knows, I mean, this is exactly what they do. They created a situation where Manuel had to, go around their car in order to cross the street. So they
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
I'm
tried
watching
to
the
set
video
him
now.
up. Yeah. So they, they kind of set him up there. So who am I missing? Caroline? Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I put it public, so one of the wrenches could just grab that link and just throw it in the chat, and people can sneak over and check that out. But it was one thing about Manuel. A lot of people like memories. You don't remember things like a camcorder. You remember things in chunks, and if your brain doesn't remember a piece of it, it fills it in for you. But Manuel Mata, man, he really, I mean, he's trained himself to really take in every single detail. So when he told me the story, it is exactly what the video shows. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's troubling again that this is what you guys have to go through in Fort Worth. Now it's bad everywhere. Um, it's just that you guys have cameras on you more often than not and are able to document it. But I mean, we can be assured that it's the same everywhere. And if more people were to document it, they'd see exactly that. And then the places that we do document, that's exactly what we see. It doesn't matter if it's, Bay Area out there in San Francisco, Oakland, or if it's you and Manuel down there in Fort Worth, or, doesn't matter. Uh, you know, NC Tyrant Hunter out in North Carolina, Wolvie in Michigan. I mean,
Oh,
everywhere
Michigan.
we're at,
Ooh.
yeah, everywhere we're at, I mean, there's tyrants. Um, so,
And everybody gets arrested their first few times out. That's why I was laughing at Wichita audits. Not laughing to be mean, but like everybody, the good auditors get arrested and they continue. And he's continuing.
yes, that's true. And the one thing that I'm going to stress when I go back out again after my probation's over and we're moving forward again is I'm just going out and documenting the violations and then I'm leaving. right? And I will take that up with a lawsuit or revisit later. My revisits were extremely successful in getting people to comply with the law, even without suing. So that's the way I'm going to go naturally, just to keep liability from the public at bare minimum. But at some point, there might be a time when they just won't learn. The violations are too egregious. And at those moments, I will sue, as everybody knows, and as they will learn that's exactly what's going to happen. Because a lot of times we're arguing when we don't need to. I mean, you can't really impart knowledge to a brick wall, right? And that's what a lot of these guys are. I mean, they're literally, I mean, you could dig a hole, get a hole digger and dig a hole and plant these cops in them, and they would be just as perfect as fence posts.
You mean like arguing with a stop sign?
Exactly. I mean, literally, that's what
Isn't that what they do to a stop
thinking.
sign? They plant a hole, they put it in there and say stop. That's it. You
Right.
can't argue with it. You just can't argue with it, man.
Why don't you just comply? You should have just complied if you didn't have anything to
You have
hide.
no choice.
Right. No, these guys are specifically screened for their lack of cognitive ability and to question orders, right? And then they get
You're
thrown out
exactly
on the
right.
street and they get trained. Huh?
Perfect example of that. You guys remember the Untouchables? Remember Sean Connery and the
Yeah.
Untouchables? When they were going to look for a cop to join their force to go take down and the Al Capone, and they needed a cop that they could trust, and that one red-haired cop, that Caucasian that come up, I think he was Polish or something, and he was dumber than a box of rocks. Remember that? And he's like, tell me why you want to be a cop, and the guy couldn't do it, right? He just didn't have all the right answers. He's so dumb when he walked away. If you listen to what Sean Connery said, there goes the next chief of police.
Oh wow.
That is really true. It's even in the movies. They'll tell you in the movies the way it is, and they have brainwashed us. I don't know if you guys have figured this out yet. Connecting those chains to something so simple like tell a vision, right? We've been watching since we've been babies that they are the authority, that they can do whatever they want. And if, like, for an example, watch some old Miami Vice. I love the show. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a bootlicker, but I love the show. And because, there's a lot of good looking women on there. Anyway, so I was watching the show. Me and Joe was talking about this. Joey from Florida. You guys know him. Jay's brother. Yeah. And you go in there and you listen to what Don Johnson was saying. He's like, well, Tubbs is asking him, well, what about getting a warrant? He's like, well, rules. What do you mean? Didn't they teach you back in the academy? Rules are being made to be broke. I mean, we can literally use these things. They was brainwashing us then to accept and to passively just go along and not pay attention to what they're doing, as long as they pay the bills and keep the roads clear. That's how I look at it. What else is there to do? You can't hold them accountable. You can't get public documents. You can't. What I've seen, Manuel, I don't know. I might be butchering his name. Meta. Am I saying that right?
Manuel Mata.
Manuel Mata. I watched them violate him, like when he walked up into that courtroom. I'll never forget it. The day I die.
Oh yeah.
When that fucking judge, pardon my French, that judge had the audacity to use a procedure that had nothing to do with him, because he was not a witness. He was not sworn in, nor was he on either of the witness lists. But that freaking judge wanted to use the procedure. If you're a witness, you can't be there. So therefore, they forced him to be sworn in. Remember that? And he refused to do it. And they took him to jail and they charged him with disorderly conduct.
Let me elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's because we had an officer that was actually was being convicted of murder. So he was a rookie. He he shot a woman in her house. He was doing a welfare check. Anyways, during that trial, there was a lot of well, what do you call it? Not promotions. When you're rallying against it. So they even took a coffin and put the lady's name on it and took it to the mirrors. Anyways, to keep Manuel Mata away from being inside the courtroom, they tried to swear him in as a witness. And Manuel Mata said to the judge, I want my lawyer present because I don't know if you're swearing me in for the defense or for the prosecutor side. Which one is it? And the judge refused to answer him, and then they arrested him like he said. That was like unbelievable. I was being arrested out in the hallway.
I still have a question
trespassing.
on that. You might be able to fill me in. What happened to that? Did they
what
throw
happened with
that out?
Okay. He had to sit in jail for like 10 or 11 days till all the shit calmed down around town. And then they just let him
Right.
out. Then they just
It
let him out.
It disappeared.
Yep. Yeah, that's what they used
So
to. They used to
they
do that with
punished
us.
him.
Yes.
That judge punished him by using attempted court, right?
Yes.
It turned into attempted court.
Yes. Contempt.
Okay.
But guess what Manuel Mata did behind the scenes? Are you ready for this? You guys don't know Manuel Mata. Manuel Mata made sure that judge did not get reelected.
That's a good thing.
He did. Yes, he did. He was
Yeah,
going
well,
door
he
to
brought
door.
up the things that we didn't know. What was that major no-no that judge did like 5 years before that?
Oh, there was a witness. Okay, there was somebody that they were trying to put in jail for child molestation, right? They were saying that guy was crazy and we need to control him in the courtroom. And they put one of those zappers on him, like a shocking thing where they could just push a button and shock the guy. And he kept asking for him to get shocked, asking for him, the judge kept shocking that guy, for no reason whatsoever. He's just really getting off on it, I guess. But that case was thrown out.
And it showed it in the video.
Yeah.
Right? I believe Judge Gallagher is his name, right?
Judge Gallagher is his name.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. See, I still got a little memory left after all up here, but
it's really
man,
bad here, guys.
Hold on, guys. Let me break in real quick because there's some issues that need addressed. Me, my drone, and I. The arrest camera footage is linked in the chat. If I've got mods in the chat, will one of you repost the link for me, my drone, and I? It's only like a minute and a half long, me, my drone, and I, and then you can watch it and come back and chat about it if you'd like. Again, it's only a minute and a half long. And then the second issue I wanted to address is Mike Cucumber, who seems like a bootlicker, but that's fine. He's allowed to voice his opinions in chat. But I wanted to address this specifically. If any of us had actually been a cop, I don't think any of us on the panel have been a cop, but some auditors have, including James Madison, Twisted Luck Media, and of course, there's been a lawyer or two that is also now auditing, and there's a few other lawyers out there that I know of that absolutely support auditing, including Southern Draw Law, and a few others like Mumford Law, and obviously the DMCA lawyer who DMA has suing a lot of the trolls. But no one's saying that a cop doesn't have a tough job. We all have tough jobs, right? A tree worker, a tree worker has a lot tougher job than a cop, and he's gonna has a better chance of dying than a cop does, right? So, hold on, let me finish. Having a tough job doesn't give them the right to violate people's rights, to abuse people. That doesn't give them that right. And the part about just listening to them, we do listen to them. We listen to them all the time, not know the law, tell us things that aren't true, and tell us things that we're not allowed to do that we know we're allowed to do. So we do listen to them. You see it in all of our videos. We listen to them all the time. The fact of the matter is I'm not going to listen to an idiot, right? I'm not going to, if that's what you do and that's your thing, absolutely go for it. You know what I mean? But I don't find the lowest intellectually capable humans out there and go and listen to them, right? And I don't listen to them even if they have a nice job. I'm glad that they were able to fill out the application and get through the hiring process. That's really special, right? Like, that's really cool. But that doesn't automatically bestow upon them some level of prestige and dignity like you folks want to hand out to people like candy, right? Doctors can be wrong, judges can be wrong, people can be wrong, right? And just saying because you filled out an application or you went to school and you like thousands of others went to school and acquired that specific job, that you're afforded this level of believability and trustworthiness is just naive, right? Because people are people and people have needs and they have desires and they have wants and they have, greed and envy and every human has this, right? So just because you put on a white coat and you went to school for 8 years to call yourself a doctor does not automatically believe that I'm going to trust you, right? And just because you put on a blue uniform and carry around a gun doesn't mean that I'm automatically going to think that you know the law and that I should listen to you, right? Because you have demonstrated on video, not only with me, but with everybody on this panel, that you don't know the laws. And it doesn't matter where I go and record. I've recorded all over the country, and so's a lot of these folks. Doesn't matter where you go to record. I've recorded up there in Constitution or Connecticut, the Constitution state, where the Constitution state auditor up here in the right-hand corner is from. I've recorded in Michigan, down there in Jackson with Freedom News Now and Hoosier News Now up there in Jackson in Michigan. And I've recorded out in Uvalde, out there where Caroline and Fort Worth and out there in those areas, Austin. So I've been to all these places. I know what these people are looking at and facing because I have videos of these officers that most likely these folks on the panel will run into in their activism journalism. So we all know this to be true, right? So we don't need to listen to these people unless they're telling us something that is intellectually true, correct. Then it's okay to listen to these people. But I'm not going to be like, oh, a shiny badge. Let me listen to you tell me that I can't record people in public, right? Am I a fucking idiot? Do I look like an idiot? This, we were bringing up movies, Wolvie, and this reminds me of Heat, right? Where De Niro and Pacino are in the shop and they're having a discussion, right? And Pacino tells him, he says, I know what you do, you know what I do, yada, yada, yada. And De Niro looks at him and says, does it look like I'm knocking over liquor stores with Born to Lose tattooed on my forehead? Right? Like,
I remember that one.
That's the funniest shit I ever heard. But it's so true when it comes to cops talking to people like us, right? What are you even talking to me for, boss? You don't think that I, at least looked at the law that pertains to what I'm doing? Like I'm just an idiot out here on the street. Like it would be extraordinarily rare to find an officer that is well versed in First Amendment law. It's just rare.
Let me add a little caboose on the end of
God,
that.
I've missed you, Rogue Nation. Isn't he smart?
Yeah, he is. He's awesome. That's why they call him Majorly Awesome. But anyway, putting a little caboose on that, the amount of interactions that Manuel has had with these people, okay, and the more they have, it seems like the more they abuse. Okay, it seems like the more that they've gotten away with it in the past, the more they're going to keep on abusing him. All right, and I'm just going to ask a simple question: where do we draw the line in stopping them abuse? Do you honestly think, Carolina, giving up is something bad if you're not making? Remember, the definition of insanity is what? To do something and think and get the same outcome.
Right.
What has Manuel gotten accomplished with these people without putting himself in jeopardy and getting hurt all the time?
All the time. And they arrest, even when he's, every single arrest he's had has been unlawful. It has. And it's some, they just don't, this is the deal. Here's the deal. Manuel Mata, like, he's not, like, okay, do y'all remember Jesus Padilla? Remember him? When he first came out and he was saying F you to the cops. And we were like, I mean, even the auditors were like, oh my God, I can't believe he's talking to a cop like that. Well,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes you have to talk to them like that. Being
Yeah.
nice doesn't work. So a lot of people are against Manuel Mata because of the way he was
Same
brought
reason
up,
they're against me. I get it. Yep.
the way that he
I don't
speaks
come
to
off
them.
nice either no more
Right.
because Emmanuel looks at it the same way I do. I guarantee if he was here right now, he would agree 1000%. And you guys are too. What you tell me how you feel right now if you don't feel the same way. When you watch a cop violate somebody's constitutional rights and know that it's a constitutional right that they're violating, knowing that they're aware of it at that present time, that's the same thing as them ripping up the Constitution in front of us.
It is.
And that is what makes us say, "Ah, who do you think you are? You know, you just ripped up and disrespected my country, my values,
I don't get
everything."
it. I don't understand.
And it's all over a pissing contest. What in the Sam hell would you rip? You're throwing the baby out. You know, you guys heard this before, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Do you think these professionals that are so-called lifesavers, they even saved my life? But I'm starting to see there's far and two in between. The at least 98% of the cops that I come in contact with are corrupt, and they're no
Yes.
they're no good. And I'm not even anti-cop. Go figure. I'm the one on this stage that says it every time I go on live that I'm not anti-cop still, knowing that almost all of them are corrupt because I see the necessary anarchy. I see how everybody can be a tyrant. The difference between us and them is they have a code of conduct and we don't. Therefore, when we lose our shit, okay, I'm talking about the average citizen out here or the average, whatever you want to be called, individual with constitutional rights. How about that? Every individual with constitutional rights. If you're just sitting around and you want to be treated with respect, okay, the average person, I believe, thinks in tyranny because they will put their hands on somebody. That's when cops come and arrest them. Cops. Let's be honest. How many times do cops go on scenes where there's baby rapers, there's murderers, there's killers, there's people that are making victims. So they are necessary to a certain extent. Okay, and I just don't see a world in the United States in the here and now. I'm not talking about what we should have did 100 years ago. I'm talking about in the here and now where there's 400, just under 500 million people in the United States right now, okay, that have a lot of criminal thoughts and that really do hate this country and want to hurt people. There are a lot of people out there that want to do it. And I'm not talking about these people that just came in our country illegally. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the motherfuckers that's been here, that was born here. A lot of these people they think just as tyrannical as the cops. Why do you think they enable the cops to do what they do? Because they think just like them. That is the majority. And a lot of people disagree with me or they don't accept that. But here's what it comes at the end of the day when the sun goes down. Who is going to put on that badge, whether they have it or not? Let's pretend that badge is a figment of our imagination. But the authority, who's going to take that authority? Somebody's going to step up and do it. And in Mexico, the cartel has done it. They're basically in Mexico. They're the law. Go ahead.
Well, that's the problem. When there's a vacuum, there's a void, it's going to be filled.
Yes.
And here's the thing, like, let's take, for example, the out west, before the government had really, got its claws into it back in the old, Wild West days. A lot of people don't realize that it was the ranchers, the cattlemen, who would enforce, what would be considered common law, like property law, like for, cattle rustlers and stuff like that. So before they even had law enforcement out there, the people would get together and enforce, a common law such as that. But again, the problem becomes that any institution like that over time is going to become corrupt. It's just the way it is. It's just human nature. And we can see it if we look time and time and time and time again throughout history when these societies have been created. I think if we were to be honest with ourselves, the best societies ever created were the Indian societies where there were no real leaders, where everybody just respected each other's rights, everybody had a role, everybody fulfilled a duty. Now, again, we could get into the warring tribes and them trying to impose their will on the other tribes and such like that. But this stuff is human nature. Like when people say, oh, let's take away people's guns, I say, why? Do you want to get killed with a knife instead, or a bat? How about an axe? Do you think people are going to stop killing because they don't have a gun?
Yeah, what about your
What
bare
about-
fists?
Right. What happened before guns were invented? Somebody got a mace to the freaking head. That's cool. Right? I might survive that for a minute and suffer, right? Like, I don't understand what people are thinking. They just tend to ignore all of history and impart their own worldview on shit that isn't reality, right?
That's
So,
true.
yeah,
Well,
it's absolutely true.
I mean, it's these people that say, well, if you have nothing to hide, go ahead and comply. Well, if you think about it, back in Nazism, which these officers today can't make the connection between us and them back then, but the Jews were like, well, yeah, I'm a Jew. I'm proud of it. The reason why the Jews were terminated was because they knew who the Jews were and where they were, because they were proud of who they were. There's nothing wrong with being proud of who you are. But the thing is that they had to identify. It was the law. They had to identify who they were, right? So they were like, "Well, I have nothing to hide. I'm a Jew. Nothing to hide. I'll put that gold badge on my coat. I have nothing to hide. I'm going to go live in this area of the town that you're telling me to. I have nothing to hide. I'm going to go ahead and jump on that train and ride out to the death camps." So because of them violating people's rights as far as identity, that's why the Jews were terminated, because they knew where they were and they just gathered them up like cattle. All right, just like they were on the cattle cars. So for people to say in America why do you want to hide your identity? Well, maybe you don't have anything to hide right now today, but what if we have another Red Dawn movie and that somebody takes us over and a dictator comes? You're going to have a lot to hide then, right? Right? You're going to have a lot to hide, because if you're pro-constitutional or whatever, they're coming after you, right? But I mean, maybe you're a member maybe you're against abortion, maybe you're for abortion. That you don't want that out there, because what if, you never know what if. That's why you should keep your privacy above everything else. And people don't get that.
Yeah,
No,
anonymity.
Poor Jews.
Oh, go ahead, Rogue.
no, I was just agreeing with what was being said. I mean, we're really preaching to the choir here because
Yeah.
a lot of these folks in here are very awake. And
Yeah,
I've
but a
been
lot of
talking.
them need help too. You do know that this community is sought after because people come to us for help. All right. I'm sure your emails, as well as mine, and every other person that has been deemed an auditor when we're not. I'm not an auditor, but I'm just saying that I do things that auditors do, and I do it all. And um, people, they do need help, and we need, when we fight for certain things, we really do need people to help out in this community, and there's just not enough of that going on, and
People don't
people
need
lose
help
faith.
until they're in trouble, though. So they don't help other people until they're in trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you know
Yep.
what, there are a lot of people out here, and I'm going to speak for the people that have, because I'm one of them. I have been donating money to this cause for a long time. I got a pubic hair of help, man. Okay, you hear me? I got a pubic hair of help, and I'm still needing help. I literally went and turned their kangaroo court. Somebody can make a lot of effing money if they was to go pull that court case up that I just went through, and literally I had liberty because I already knew one in cross that this judge was biased, and I knew because she would not allow me to treat this man as a hostile witness because he continued to make me repeat myself when the judge herself literally said, "Sir, you are so loud that the police department across the hall can hear you." Okay. So the pig that was on the stand kept on making me repeat myself. So I said, "Judge, will you allow me to treat him as a hostile witness because you can see he's clearly gaslighting me?" And she says, "Well, I don't know what gaslighting means,
Oh my
but,"
God.
and how can you be a judge and not know what gaslighting means?
Literally.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's all they do all day. Anyways, so the prosecutor's laughing. So what I learned from that is it doesn't matter what is right and wrong there. What matters is who can prove what they're saying. That's all that matters to a judge. And that's
No,
not
no,
that's not what it's
I don't agree with
supposed to
you.
be.
Disagree.
That's not it is not what it's supposed to be. She's supposed to protect my constitutional rights.
But they
That
don't.
that the people that represent the people, they're supposed to protect my constitutional rights. They should
That's
have
what's
did
sad.
noli proce forthwith when they seen that, knowing that cops cannot be the complainants of disorderly conduct or disturbing the peace unless I directly threaten them and use violence. And they know that. And they've even admitted it, but they found a way around it. And I'm telling you, they literally got me and found me responsible for a ticket, a fine. They fined me $10 a piece, right? For disorderly in I was out of place, meaning I'm not allowed to be in a public traditional forum because the sidewalk and the alley are considered the same. They're public fare throughs. Okay, so why can't I be through a public fare through? I had business. My business was my camera. Remember, I'm allowed to record the police. They didn't stick up for those rights, and they said that I was basically loitering. They without saying it, they found me guilty because of it. They basically said you can't loiter for the purposes of loiter. What the fuck are you talking about? I can't loiter for the purpose of loiter. I'm sitting there with a freaking camera recording people watching a dog attack an officer. One of their own dogs attacked one of their own officers. Rogue, did you even watch that story, bro? Did you see that? That last video I did in the beginning of summer where the dog that they used attacked two of the officers and they still used it. And then because of it, I fronted the situation off. They freaking put that dog to sleep the very next day.
Oh,
They abused
sad.
that dog and murdered that dog because they
Jesus.
used him for all the wrong reasons. And they violated this Mexican that was in that. He said, "No, I'm not going to let you in there because I didn't do anything wrong." So that's why the canine was there to begin with. And they pulled their PC for pulling him over was because he misused the alley. We're not allowed to pull in to the alley into a business that is connected and abutted to the alley, just like I was. I was there to buy a sandwich. I seen somebody there pulled over, so you know what I do. I backed up in a parking spot and I started recording. I wasn't there to record, but it turned into that because when I see cherries and berries, we record. That's what we do. And they even know that. So, yeah, after about the fourth question, I went off and I said, let the record reflect that this court is a kangaroo court.
No, yeah. One of the commenters said something about these officers didn't want to be an officer when they were younger. I believe that, but I believe if any officer did want to be an officer when they were younger, they did not say that they wanted to be ignorant to people's rights. They didn't say that they wanted to, go up to random people on a sidewalk, ask for the ID, demand it, and then arrest them. I know full well if they did want to be an officer when they were younger, they would have said, I want to be a good officer. I want to set things right. I don't want to be like those corrupt officers at this PD. But they somehow, something inside these police departments just nudges them into being disrespectful to people's rights.
It's a sociology thing and a human nature thing, like you guys were saying earlier. You don't want to be outed by the group. I mean, if you've ever been outed by a group, it's not a fun thing. Like if at a job or whatever, it's horrible. People have quit jobs because of that. But it is a sociology and psychological thing that you want to fit in with the rest of the group. You want to, otherwise you're ostracized. And if any of these good cops tell on the bad cops, do you think anybody's going to help them when he's like being chased by a bad guy with a gun or anything like that? No, they get rid of those people because this is a club for them. It's an absolute club, and they love being in that club.
She's
because
right.
They love being in that power and that control. There's other people like that too. Like if you go try to return something at a store and the lady doesn't want to return it for you and all that shit, But people that have a position of power abuse it. Now, I want everybody. I challenge everybody. Go up to a police officer and ask them how many jobs have they had before they were a cop. Hundreds. They keep getting fired from all their jobs. But you can't get fired from being a cop because all you gotta do is sit around till you got a call. And if you notice, a million of them show up to one call. And if some old lady's got a cat stuck in a tree and they try to get one of those cops away from there and go help the lady with the tree, they're like, oh no, I'm over here directing traffic, this and that. Well, they're not. They're standing in a circle fraternizing, and they waste a lot of time. You catch them sleeping. You catch them doing all kinds of bullshit because all the jobs they've had previously, they've been fired from. I guarantee you. That's the easiest job in the world. It is. And I always ask them, well, where's the memorial for the citizens that you guys killed? They don't have a memorial for that, but we got memorials.
Never.
It's the easiest, more what do you call it? Abused job ever. In my opinion, cops abuse everything, man.
I mean,
anything that they can abuse,
he just made a mistake. He was trying to do the right thing, but he just made a mistake. That's what they say about the cop. Okay.
They always say that. It's always the same song and dance every single time. And we were talking about dumb cops before. I know here in Connecticut, they refuse to hire smart, fit, qualified people as officers. And they've been sued because of it. And you know what the court said? That they could do whatever they want. And if we don't like it, then we can change it. But we obviously know nobody gets together to do anything anymore. But, I mean, how many times is it going to take them killing people, abusing our moms, our kids, before we realize that we have to change it?
We got to start talking about getting more people on our side. I mean, we show the videos; they're still not on our side.
Exactly.
It's like it's fluent to it happens to you. Even my sister. You should make friends with the cops because I made friends with all the cops in Wichita Falls. I never get a ticket because I'm friends with them all. Shut up. All right. So, I mean, I just wish we could get more people on our side. And it's never young people like Wichita Audits. It's all us old people that are.
It's coming now.
It's Generation X. Let's just put it that way. And before I go on, I'll let everybody speak. Hey, Rogue, I presented that picture. Will you put that picture up for everybody to see? Look at this awesome freaking display that I created that I'm going to let it go. Once I'm done with it, I'm going to let everybody else use it. I
just don't know any other way to get these people involved with us without something happening to them. Big ass
banner. Check that picture out.
I mean, we're outnumbered. We're outnumbered 90% to 10%. More. 99% more than 1% of us. How are we going to get those people on our side? I mean, we can't even get the juries to acquit us.
What'd you say,
Rogue? It takes time, Carolina.
Oh, okay. So I can't bring up anything because I'm on the phone. My laptop is kaput. So I can't bring up anything, but I'll look at it if you send it to me in an email.
It's just a picture while everybody was talking because it just goes with everything we do. It's a nice, it's a gigantic banner that says "Happy Fuck the Police Day."
No, right on.
It's awesome.
But it like Caroline was saying, it is psychological, and part of our job as auditors is not just to get changes made, which is what every good auditor, top watcher should strive for, is to get changes made. But it's also to inform the public of what is going on, how these people are acting, because that's to me, that's the most important part, because the more people you have, the more likely are you will see change occurring, you know?
That's the
Um,
problem.
exactly. Somebody who doesn't have a lot of subscribers and might not be getting phone calls to that location. You know, if James Freeman shares their video and all of a sudden now they're getting 20,000 calls, that's a big difference.
It
And
is.
you know, people, you know, respond
Well,
differently.
but Rogue Nation. Well, look what happened to Craig Hendry when people called to complain about how he was treated. He got 9 months in jail because he's the one that caused all those people to call, and he caused all those people to stalk him. You know about that. Maybe
Well,
people in the
right.
chat don't know about that.
Well, right. And you know, I don't know the case, the details particularly. And I definitely don't think that Craig probably did anything wrong, but I think it is
No.
important to note that, you know, our words, um, and how we vocalize things can have repercussions, like unfortunately free Eric Brandt. Um,
Oh man.
but when we, you know, say stuff that could be construed in a way against us, that's never, to me, advisable, right? So
Yeah.
you don't see me going, hey, let's, you know, call these people. You know, I always try to include in my videos that I do myself, that I can, I'll include, you know, publicly available information in the description. I don't ask people, you know, I don't say if you want to redress, I don't say anything. The contact information is there just the same as if you looked it up on Google,
It doesn't
right?
matter what you say, because when I was at my court date, the DA said she starts every video with like, let's see what kind of trouble we can get into. That just proves to you that she's trying to instigate and cause trouble. She starts her videos with, let's see what kind of trouble we can get into tonight. Come on.
Well, right, but that's again, that's language that can be used against you and will be
Yep.
used against you, right? When
Yep.
you go in
Yep.
front of a jury of people who maybe they're bootlickers or maybe they're undecided and they're on the fence, but when they hear somebody say, "Hey, let's go see what kind of trouble we can get into," and then the DA frames it as, you know, you're coming here and harassing these people, because we have to remember, it's not just the cops that don't realize what the First Amendment is, it's the majority of the freaking public, right?
Mhm.
Most people, when you ask them about the Constitution, they've literally read it maybe a couple of times in high school and not since, right? They might have a picture of the Constitution on their wall at home, they're a patriot, ooh. Um, but they've never done any deep dives into it, right? They've never read a 400 or 500 page book that's dedicated, you know, to the Constitution, why it was made, the conditions surrounding it, or anything of that nature. So when, you know, most people today that I've come across believe that the right to free press was either the right to own an actual printing press, and that was
Right.
the way that you could disseminate it, or it was the right, and this is this is the majority of like trolls. This is what they think, and this is, again, this is why I spend a lot of time analyzing what they do, because I want to understand their arguments and what their thinking is. But the majority of trolls think that the right to free press is the right to not have the government censor you.
Oh, Lord.
Okay,
Oh,
and
boy.
I'm not kidding you. They think it's the right to not be censored by government. Never mind the fact that there wasn't a whole lot of censoring going on back when the First Amendment was included. And notwithstanding the fact that the founders, through their writings, left
Also,
clear instructions on what the right to free press was to entail, or the fact that legal authorities that you can quote throughout our history have said the same thing, that, you know, the chief importance of the right to free press is the right to watch our government officials and to bring that information to the public so we could make informed decisions about who is governing us. That is,
Yeah.
Without fear of retaliation.
Yeah.
well, right, but it's a right. There should be no retaliation. That's what a right is supposed to mean. So, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. I got the cases I got going in South Carolina. And because I filed indigent, I had to prove my case to the court before they would even serve the defendants.
Yep.
And one of the magistrate judge's, you know, concerns, the magistrate judge for both cases wanted my cases dismissed with prejudice, meaning I couldn't refile. And one of the reasons that the magistrate said this was because that there was no case law, and there is no case law in the Fourth Circuit stating that we have a right to record police officers, right? So they don't have like a Smith v. Cumming or a Fordyce versus Seattle or Turner v. Driver or Fields versus Philadelphia or any of those First Amendment case laws in the Fourth Circuit. It's one of the only circuits still left that doesn't. There's a few of them, but so what my answer to him and that is that I don't need any case law saying that I have a right to record my government officials. I don't need it. I don't need Fourth Circuit case law. I don't need 11th Circuit case law. I don't need Supreme Court case law, right? Just like I don't need case law saying that the government can't quarter troops in my home. Right? Why would I need a case to say that? Isn't that what the whole freaking right is about? It's
That's
the
what it's
same
about,
with
but
the right to
they're
bear
so
arms.
ignorant.
Right. These are rights. These are things that we have that you can't infringe upon. So why would I need case law saying that I have the exact same thing that the right already says I have? That wouldn't make any sense. And neither
That's ignorance to me. Like, I can't believe they throw that out like that.
and again, this is from a magistrate, a federal magistrate judge, and both cases went ahead. The district court judge didn't follow the recommendation, and both cases went ahead, and we're litigating both cases now. But so when I say that, you know, the mass majority of people don't know the First Amendment, that's why, you know, for a long time I was on the fence about people recording private businesses, but I've since hopped on their side in certain conditions. You know, I don't believe people should antagonize private citizens in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I believe that private businesses should be subjects of silent audits and not discussions at all.
Well, I was against those too, but because of my conditions, I can't be around cops. But those people that, like, if you do a bank audit, the manager that comes out, he's a tyrant himself because he's in charge of the bank. He hires, he fires indiscriminately. So sometimes those people that come out of that bank, they need to be knocked off their high horse too and be reminded how it feels, you know, to be like talked down to. I'm telling you no. I'm on the public sidewalk. I'm telling you no. Now what are you going to do? But those are the people that donate to the campaigns. They're the ones that are in control. Everybody died from lung cancer from cigarettes because the tobacco companies lobbied the fact that, oh no, it is not unhelpful. We're going to keep doing our tobacco. So even those people in the private sector, they deserve audits too.
Well, right, because they need to be educated, right? Everybody deserves to understand the First Amendment, right? Not just our politicians and not just our police officers. Every American deserves to know what our rights are. Unfortunately, as we know, the government doesn't want to teach anybody that kind of stuff, right?
Those people, they're just trying to do their job. You're giving them such a hard time. That's really not very nice of you to do that. And the cop's just trying to do stuff. He's a hero. He would put his life down on the line for you. So why are you giving him a hard time?
Yeah, they go to ostracize and you putting a guilt trip on you. Yeah. That's sad.
You know, and
Just like they protected the kids at Uvalde.
Go ahead.
Hey, let me ask.
No,
let
I
me
just
ask
said
you,
just like they protected the kids.
Go ahead, bro. The Constitution state. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I just said that just like they protected the kids at Uvalde and all these other people, they like get killed on a daily basis because they refuse to do anything because they're scared. They were holding back parents trying to go protect their kids. You know what I mean? They're not.
But I wanted to clarify something, CFW. Did you say in that last segment of speaking you just said, did you say that you were medically allergic and you couldn't be around cops? What did you say?
Oh, like
Correct me
sometimes
if I'm
they,
wrong.
okay, yeah, I pull their legs a lot. Like sometimes what I say is, they ask, well, how do you feel? Oh, yeah, I'm on paper that I cannot be within 20 feet and I can't say anything to them. However,
Oh,
if
it's a
they,
document. It's
it's
a
it's on my
PO.
appeal bond.
Okay,
Yeah, it's on there. But
I
if they
got
come
you.
to
All right.
me, so that's like if I'm standing outside a bank, right, and they come to me, then it's okay to interact with them. Otherwise, like I've already been arrested because I was too close to a jailer when I was watching him load somebody up to an ambulance. But
Ain't
the
that a
thing is, on
bitch?
that is that it's so funny how the officer that threw me on the ground and knocked me unconscious came up to me, and had me on the ground within 12 seconds. So that was wrong. I got convicted of that. But
Has he
out here
been
now, according
ostracized at all for hitting a woman inside the
he
department?
did it on his last job too. All right. He was on the Brady list. They didn't let us have that information. I mean, he didn't get fired really for excessive force. He got fired for the process of how he arrested me because they weren't under investigation of anything. You know, I was walking around that parking lot for 45 minutes. And also they tried to convict me for saying fire, fire, help, help. That was found not guilty. Thank God, because on the jury instruction sheet, first of all, if you say fire, fire, they have to be afraid. They have to call the fire trucks. It has to go through a whole thing. But on the jury instruction sheet, all it said was she reported a crime. That's it. See, and I was lucky to be found not guilty on that. But those two girls that I was yelling, fire, fire, help, help, I did that to them all the time. It was something I did with them. That's why they kept walking. They knew who I was. They knew I was kidding. That's why they kept walking. But they just try to grasp at straws to get you on anything, you know. And I just don't understand. They're supposed to be for us. We're electing them to put criminals in jail, and it just drives me nuts that they twist the law around to put us in jail when we're not guilty. I'm going to say two more things and I'm going to shut up. Like when I was at court, they brought in 20 new prosecutors they had just hired out of law school, right? All ready to save the day, all ready to put criminals in jail. And they're watching this fiasco that this this DA who's assigned to me is the guy that does capital murder cases. They're watching him trying to learn. And they're watching the most basic thing that they learned in law school was the First Amendment. I mean, do you think any of them went up to the DA and said, well, isn't she protected by the First Amendment? So they're already like taking those 20 brand new employees and just ruining them, right? So it's sad to me that they're supposed to be there for our rights. And like we believe that that's what they're doing. It's okay if they violate it a little bit because he's really a criminal anyways. But they just are brainwashing even all those brand new lawyers. It was so sad to me. And I'm done.
Yeah, I'm about ready to close this up.
Yeah, I appreciate you jumping in, Rogue, and saving the day because there's outages all in my area.
What's the plan with
Fictional
him?
State,
Is there a bond? Is he
I love
staying
your
in?
stuff. Huh?
Is there a bond? Is he staying in jail? What's his plan?
Oh, Manuel Mata, thankfully, we have people that support us here in this town. Okay, so we have a couple of people that are anonymous that go and pay in full and they get their money back after we show up to court, right? Because it's hard to ask people to dip into their pockets right now, so that's
Oh,
why these
absolutely.
guys really help us out, and these people really believe in what we're doing. So that's awesome. So that's why I'm not asking for any money right now, but he'll be out in a couple hours. I hope.
That's what I wanted to know. I just wanted to
Yeah,
make sure
I
he was all
appreciate you
set.
asking that.
And you guys
And
are
I
Hey,
lucky to
really,
have people like that.
hey,
yes, we're
Rogue,
lucky. We
if you
didn't
don't
have it
mind me
before.
asking you a question, real quick before you go. When's the last time you did a live stream on the right to travel in this country?
Probably never. I mean, I talk about it from time to time on my live streams, but I don't really get involved in that kind of stuff because
All right,
I don't
real
have a
quick,
nick
one
either.
more question that's a follow up to that one. Is it because every time we get to the question, where at in the case law that all these people are using that says that the Supreme Court says that we are immune to the tax, state, federal,
Oh,
and
that's that sovereign
local
citizen shit.
taxes? See, and I everybody keeps saying you have the right to do it, but yeah, you have a right to, but that don't mean you don't have a right to be ticketed for it either and pay the ticket. So I've been asking all these people where I understand it says that you have the right to use the public highways and byways for
That's
public
all that sovereign citizen
travel.
shit.
I get it. The question is, where does it immune you from the tax?
What
You
do you
know?
mean? What tax?
The CI, a CI is a tax. You know that, right? When
Well,
they ticket you, it's
That's not my focus.
taxation. It's taxation without representation. Okay,
yeah.
so
Okay. So
they're
hold,
taxing you.
all right. So hold on. I'll break it down
That's
real
stupid
quick.
of a fight.
Yeah, I'll break it down for you real quick. So, you're looking for the authority to tax you?
No, I'm looking for the authority that immunes me from that ticket while
Oh,
having the right to drive. What stops them? Nowhere in those statements and those Supreme Court case laws does it say I have a right to drive without being taxed. It just says I have the right to use and share that highway with everybody else.
well, there's you have the right to use it without being taxed, but the problem is that, and again, this is I've discussed this a few times on here, is that people are registering their vehicles with the government. So
Yeah.
the only way to be immune from those taxes, as such, is to not register your vehicle. But
Thank
again, this
you.
is yeah, this is something
Proved my
that
point for me. That's all. That's all I needed. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Well, I got to finish it because otherwise people will misconstrue what
Yes,
I'm
you got to.
saying
I
or
got you.
whatever.
I got you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so and what I've told people in the past before is that even if you figure this out, which it's very possible, and it all comes from the registration of the item. Okay, it has nothing to do with the regulation of you, the driver's license, whatever. That it has nothing to do with it. The regulation is the regulation of the item. And if you look at those right to travel cases that a lot of the right to travel guys use, they're from the early 1900s. But when the court is talking about people having this right, they use the word automobile. Okay. And when the court later on is talking about people not having this right, they use the words motor vehicle. So the question people need to ask themselves is an automobile a motor vehicle in law? And that will lead them down the rabbit hole of the registration and such. But, however, this is the facts of life. If you go down that way, your life is going to be more miserable than if you just pay the frickin' tax, right? And I'll tell you why. Because nobody, and literally nobody, is going to recognize this right. The police ain't going to recognize it. Your local judges aren't going to recognize it. And higher up, the people that do recognize it are not going to allow you to throw that system under the bus, right? The registration of vehicles, the constant tax yearly of vehicles, the constant inflow of traffic violations is a boon to the government, and that they're not going to let you expose that in any way, shape, or form. So your life is basically going to be, driving without a license plate or whatever, without a license, and getting pulled over every day, every other day, whatever, and facing court and impound fees over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? And anybody that says, "Oh, I've done it," and this, they're not being truthful to you. And if they say they are, tell them to come by and pick you up, and you'll ride out with them while they do 120 past the state trooper, and see if they don't go to jail, right? So there's a lot of people out there that say they've done it, but none of them have, because when you ask them how they did it, they talk nothing of the registration,
Yep.
right? And if they do, if they've made it as far as the registration phase, they'll try to tell you something like, "Oh, well, I got a copy of the title from the manufacturer." That doesn't work in title law. "Oh, well, I got a bill of sale from the guy that sold me the car." That doesn't work in law, right? So, again, it's people that will take a little bit of information and then exclaim that they know the universe.
Yep.
But I caution,
In good
hey,
faith.
Right, and you're right. But listen, we all want to believe what we already believe. So it's very easy to entice people with a certain amount of the truth, right? Because we do have the right to travel. Everybody knows we have the right to travel. People just get murky on what that really entails, right? Doesn't mean I have the right to walk. Doesn't mean I have the right to, ride my horse, ride a bike. What does that mean? Right. So that's where people get murky on it. And the government specifically puts out disinformation on the internet about shit like the right to travel. Like when people bring this shit up to me, I'm immediately thinking government plant, right? Either a government plant or just somebody that hasn't really studied long enough to really understand where he's wrong at, right?
Yeah.
Because the government puts out this disinformation so that we identify ourselves, right? So take the sovereign freedom movement, whatever they want to call themselves, state nationals, Moors, whatever they want to call themselves. There's many different flavors of sovereignty out there on the internet, right? And all of them have this procedure where you have to free yourself from the government. And all of them have different ways about going and doing this. Oh, you got to authenticate the birth certificate. Oh, you got to send this document to the Secretary of State of Minnesota on the second Tuesday of the 3rd February in the month of Jupiter, right? And then you have to roll your man part in purple ink and slap a mushroom print on your birth certificate and send that to Puerto Rico, so the IRS can't tax you anymore. I mean, there's all kinds of procedures that these guys will tell you about, and all that does is send documents to the government. And the government gets this birth certificate with a purple man part ink mushroom print, and they're like, "Okay, this guy's going on a list. He obviously
Yeah.
questioning the government,
Put
right?
through the list.
Right, yeah, he's obviously questioning the government. He's on the list. I mean, people are self-reporting themselves and patting themselves on the back because of their intellectual superiority, and nobody else has figured out that you're really free. And if I provide a wall of case law that I've misinterpreted or that I've gotten from somewhere else that really doesn't even exist, I just never took the time to look up the cases because it already agreed with what I believe in,
Right.
then people will see me as the legal guru that I am, and
Right.
then I could start selling packages online. All these guys sell packages. Oh, every
Yeah.
single one of them is a fucking
Yeah,
freedom
they
package.
do. They do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Rogue, the reason why I asked that question, I'm gonna tell you why I did, is because last night I asked I ain't gonna tell you. There's no names involved. There's no. It says nothing. I don't care who it is. I got a bunch of case law thrown at me when I asked this question. What's to stop me to take my unregistered F-150 right now that I paid just under $70,000 for him and driving down the road? What's to stop me from getting pulled over and getting taxed those taxes for tax /CI criminal or civil infractions? What's protecting me in the right to travel? Where at in those cases is it protecting me? And just like you said, a lot of times it's because they've already submitted and signed on the dotted line, and they've had a license before, or they've had another car registered before, or they've already submitted to the state. They've already contracted with the state in some other way that in the dotted line it says that you signed to. It says it's your responsibility when it expires to renew it. So if it's not renewed, it's still your fault and you signed to it. So it doesn't matter. You're always going to get slammed with it. To me, it's bullshit until like I said, under 500 million people, whatever that number is within that number that have driver's license, until they literally stop paying the Secretary of State and the Department of Motor Vehicles, we will never get that taken care of.
We all have a different passion. I just can't stand it when they put people that are innocent in jail. That's my big thing. And your big thing is this that bullshit there, and that's going to be a hard one to
Or
fight.
steal my property. That was
Yeah,
my
but these
truck was
people-
$70,000.
It's nice. Send some my way. These people, these people
Anyway,
that are in
that was
office,
when
they're
it was
only in
brand
office a
new.
short time, and when they get out of office, more people come in. So right now, we're working in Hillsborough, Texas. This one chief of police, who's also an assistant city manager, who also teaches at the college, who also is the head of the public safety, so he does the fire too, and he has another job where he raises dogs to send out his drug dogs. That guy's the one running the town, because everybody else is elected in and they leave. They're elected in and they leave, and that guy's still there running the town. He's like a boss hog.
Well,
So
Carolina,
that's
it's
another
the
thing
same thing.
too.
It's the same thing as your home. Your home's
Hold
the
on.
same thing. If you don't pay for your home in taxes, they come and steal that.
Well,
I don't
right,
pay
because
taxes. No, I pay.
that's registered as well. When you deal with property and you register it with another entity, they have what's known as a security interest in that property. It's no different than when you take your certificate of title to your vehicle and you pawn it at one of those car pawn shops.
Oh yeah.
So they have a security interest in that vehicle. That's why they keep the title. But I want to wrap this up, and I want to
Alright.
Thank you,
answer
Rob.
Johnny Vermont real
Thank you
quick.
so
because-
much, everybody coming in and all this. I've really missed your chats, Rogue.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Let me just finish up with this thing from Johnny Vermont, because it's a myth that goes around that needs to be broken. And that is the fact that the vehicle licensing scheme is not for the safety of our vehicles, not for the safety of our citizens or the streets. And the way we know this to be true is that when the licensing scheme was actually implemented, there was a gap in most states, around of about 8 to 10 years per state. Some different, I'm speaking on an average, between licensing and testing. So basically, what that means is when licensing first came about, you could send a quarter in the mail and get a license back, right? You didn't have to take a test. You didn't have to drive. You didn't have to do anything. You sent in a quarter and they sent you back a license, right? And this persisted in most states up to 8 to 10 years after licenses were being handed out. It was never about safety. And for those that are interested, the last state to implement driver's licenses was South Dakota in 1955.
Damn.
Okay. So people drove in South Dakota for over half a century with no license,
Oh my
right?
goodness.
And you can, this is all public information. You're welcome to look it up. And you can also look up images of cars on the streets of South Dakota, say World War II. Just Google cars on the streets of South Dakota during World War II. And you'll see cars in the 1940s that are driven by people that are not required, nor do they have a license. Okay. And these people drove out of their state. Everybody knows that back then, vacation by car was the shit. These people drove out of South Dakota into your state, which required a license, and they had no license of their own. And they were not taxed, as Wolvie likes to call it, because in their jurisdiction, they weren't required to have a license. So they were allowed to, or not, I should say, they were not punished in your state for not having a license. Same way that the tent laws work nowadays. If I get tents down in Florida where the sun's shining bright and I go up to Wisconsin, they might be able to give me a ticket, but I'll easily beat it because my car is registered down in Florida. So, yeah,
I couldn't
just
wait to go to court and beat my cases. I couldn't wait.
yeah. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. I got
Thank
a whole
you.
bunch of stuff to do. So thanks for coming, everybody, and always we'll see you guys
Thank
always
you,
on the
Rob.
next one. Yep, there's always gonna be a next one. You guys know it. So
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. All right, see you guys.
Bye,
later.
guys. Thank you.